So two things can be true at the same time. On one hand, because I'm a Libra, on one hand, Brit was wrong for what she did last week. She threatened Kenya. She threatened her with a weapon, right? On the other hand, Kenya was also wrong for what she did in last night's episode, especially at her grand opening. Two things can be true at the same time. They do not negate the other. Let's talk about it. What's up, y'all? Welcome and welcome back to the channel. I'm Tammy. This is Tammy Talks. We are here today to talk the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, episode 5, about last night. Or it's like about the other night, about last night, about that night, all right? If you guys are brand new to the channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, thumbs up the video, leave all your comments down below. Shout out to the 137 of y'all that subbed from last video. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to Ashley Miller. Y'all know we all love Ashley Down for sharing my video to her community tab. All right. So let's go ahead and get right into the episode, y'all. So it starts off with Shamia. So Shamia is at her house and she has Angela and Brit come over. So Angela is coming over because they want to further hash out what has happened between the two of them. They want to move forward. Brit is over, I guess, to annoy us, okay? But Brit said, look, I haven't had any sleep at all last night. Like, girl, nobody cares. I don't care. So Angela is saying, I didn't get any sleep last night either because I got a lot of backlash from the owner of the bank because y'all were acting a fool. You're outside threatening people with whips and pistols. That's not cool. That falls back on me for having the events there. So Brit said Kenya kept cutting her off. She kept cutting her off. And it's like, no, she didn't. So production rolls that beautiful bean footage that shows that Kenya was not cutting you off. She wasn't. So then Angela is like, well, that was my question. Angela, what? Why would you ask that? So Angela said that she wanted to acknowledge how her friend was feeling. Now, Angela, I like you, but like that was unnecessary. Like, I don't believe in fighting other people's battles that they have created themselves. You know what I mean? There was really no reason for you to ask Kenya, can she speak to Brit respectfully when you, Angela, have not seen Kenya speak to Brit disrespectfully. That didn't make sense to me, Angela. It really didn't. It didn't make sense. So Britton said that Kenya was trying to, or she said that she was not trying to intimidate Kenya. So what are you doing by saying whatever. So Brit then goes on to say that she does not want Kenya to feel like she would try to harm her. She said, but she does realize she needs to take it back a notch. Yeah. So Shamia said, look, you might need to let Kenya just get some licks back so that it balances out. Angela said that Brit might even need to fall on her sword because, like, you were wrong. You did too much. We've acknowledged that. Cool. Don't try to walk it back now. You were wrong, Brit. You are acknowledging it. We're hearing you say it, okay? Angela then pivots over to Charles and said that no, she didn't tell Charles about what Portia kind of insinuated. She said, look, I'm married to a celebrity and my DMs are flooded. I'm not saying Charles is not a celebrity. He is a retired professional basketballer. But let's be real, girl. I don't think anybody is knocking down your door trying to get to Charles, okay? I could be wrong, but I don't think that's happening. So Brit then said, yeah, because somebody would get slapped if they bring up my husband like that. Nobody's going to bring up your husband, baby, because nobody cares about your husband. No one does. So we panned over to Kenya. So Kenya is at her hair spa. Portia comes in, and Kenya was like, oh, you made it through security? And then Portia in her confessional is saying that she hopes that her and Kenya stay in this good place that they're in right now, because we know they have a lot of history with one another. But I mean, in today, okay, April 7th of 2025, Portia has been bigging up Brit and saying that, Brit is at least still on the show and doing all this extra shit on Instagram. So I'm going to assume y'all are not still where y'all were. Y'all not there no more, okay? So Kelly comes in and Kenya asks if they are going to be okay in that fight, talking about Kelly and Portia. And they would say, no, we good, we good, we good. So they're going to be looking at some models for the hair spa that are going to be a part of like a little hair show that Kenya has started. Is that a candle going? Oh, okay. That they have started, that they have that Kenya has put in place for the hair spa. It's like a little something extra to do there. So Portia's like, ooh, so was everybody invited? And Kenya was like, well, yeah, everybody is invited. So she said, well, did you invite Brit? Kenya said, I didn't specifically invite her, but everyone was invited. She was not uninvited. So Kelly said, okay, so what happened? Kelly, you were standing right there. Why are we acting dumb? Kelly, you were standing right there. You know what your friend did? I don't like that, Kelly. I don't like that because Kelly's giving a little bit of two-face. Because when you're with Brit, you're acting as if because when you're with Brit, you're acting as if everything that she did was right and Kenya was wrong and Kenya was the aggressor and all this other stuff. But then when you're sitting in Kenya's face, you're acting like, yeah, Britt was wrong, Britt was wrong. It's giving two-face. Kelly, I don't like that. So Portia said, look, Kenya had disengaged and Britt kept going on and on talking about pistols and stuff like that. That's the part that's not fine. Portia said, look, we can walk back what happened at the table. Cool. Y'all were going back and forth, little housewife jabs, whatever the case. That's fine. But Brit did too much. She did. So Kelly claims she didn't hear it. Kelly, yes, you did. I'm gonna tell you why you heard it. Because first, when Brit first said that she had her pistol, you said, "Girl, we don't need all that. My security is here. We're fine." You said that first when y'all were still in the building. Then when y'all got outside and she kept going on and on about how Kenya's gonna learn today and this, that, da 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 da, and all that other type of bullshit that Britt was spewing, you were the main one standing there with her husband talking about the mic is on, you doing too much, calm down, calm down. You know exactly what your friend did. And I think you know that is how your friend typically gets down, which is why you did not seem shocked by anything that Britt was doing. So Kenya then said, look, I will not be gaslit and I have too much to lose. Kenya, I wish you would have remembered that a couple days later when you did what you did at your hair spa. But Kenya goes on to say that I haven't done anything to warrant that type of clownery. She said that the aggressiveness, the angst that Britt was spewing to her, she's not going to stand for. And Kelly was like, well, she isn't that person. Well, she for damn sure was that night. And I love that Kenya said this. Don't tell me that that's not who she is when that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing. So Kenya said, look, well, I'm going to do a background check on her. So then Kelly is in her confessional saying, Kenya needs to be doing a background check on the models. No, because you know your friend has some shit in her background. Oh, my bad. You don't really know Brit, Kelly. Y'all have been friends for a year. Y'all said it has been 1 year that y'all have been friends. You don't know all the skeletons in that lady's closet. You don't know her like that for you to even be out here trying to avenge her honor. This is silly. So then we get to Angela. She's at a coffee shop with her oldest daughter, Amari, I think that's her name. And we find out that her oldest daughter's father was unalived when she was 7. I think by gun violence. I think that's what it was. So the girl, her daughter, is sitting there and she's like, look, let's get to the root of it. Why grandma not here? We were all supposed to be here to talk. So Angela said, well, look, well, I got a call, okay, from my mother saying that I need to talk to you. What happened? Amari said, look, I went to grandma's house to use a car that you bought her that I feel like was an unnecessary tidbit. However, Amari went to borrow a car and said that Angela's sister wanted money and then got in her face and called her a demon. Now, I don't know this family. I don't know this family's dynamic, but that seems like quite the jump to go from I'm here to use the car to you're a demon. We are missing something in the middle, right? And I'm not saying that Amari is in the wrong whatsoever, but we're missing a big chunk of the story. Angela explains that her mother is bipolar, and she claims that her mother is a self proclaimed healed person, i.e., your mama ain't on her meds. So when she said that, I said, okay, so something of the other could have happened, right? So apparently, Amari snuck off and got married. She didn't sneak because she's grown. Amari went and got married and didn't tell Angela. So Angela has been saying that, they are best friends and all that other type of stuff. Y'all are not as close as you thought. Y'all aren't as close as you thought. If somebody doesn't tell you about their wedding or invite you to their wedding, y'all are not as close as you thought, right? And especially if it is your child. Oh my God. I could not imagine going and getting married and not telling my mom. But okay. So her daughter was like, well, I was planning on telling you, but I was going to tell you. I was going to tell you. Angela said it has been 4 months. So now Angela is tearing up, rightfully so. And her daughter is like, everyone's making this a bigger deal. What in the lack of emotional intelligence is going on in this child? Because Amari, you have to understand why your mom would feel away. Like she's making it seem as if she went and bought a new car or you went and bought a new apartment. You went and got married. There's a reason you didn't tell your mother. What's the reason? There's a reason you didn't want your mama to know. That's crazy. So now Amari starts crying, saying this is too much and is gang up on Amari Day. Baby, nobody's ganging up on you. Your mother is voicing how she has a right to feel hurt that her firstborn, her eldest child, went and got married and didn't even want to tell her. Did you know she was engaged, Angela? Angela got a lot of shit going on in her family. I tell you that. She has a lot of stuff going on within her family. We then get to Brit. So Brit is meeting Portia for lunch, and Brit is acknowledging in her confessional that she took things too far with Kenya. Duh, okay? She wants to apologize and hopes that Kenya can acknowledge it. I said, oh, you all these preconceived notions that you have about Kenya, and you think you're going to be able to walk up to Kenya after threatening her with a weapon and say sorry? Oh, girl. Oh, girl. So did you skip a couple seasons of The Housewives? Like, what's happening? Aren't you a fan? Didn't you want a hug? Maybe you think she's going to give you a hug now. Let's find out. So Portia said, when did y'all even get beef? What happened? Brit said, well, I just feel that when Portia is around, when Kenya's around the group, she likes to put on. Okay? She asked about my wedding band, right? Like she came up to me and was asking about my wedding band. And you know what else she didn't do? She didn't give me a hug. She didn't give me a hug. From that very first moment, she didn't give me a hug. Then she gave me a half-ass hug, at the dinner. She didn't hug me. That's what's wrong. That's the beef. And it's like, Brit, no matter how many times you try to tell this story, baby, you sound crazy. You sound crazy. Kenya hasn't done anything to you. She honestly and truly hasn't. And if she had, Portia would be the first to take your side and let you know that you were in the right. So Portia said, look, everybody else that was there said that Kenya wasn't shady, right? Brit then said, look, I think she was being dismissive and shady, and I think she was targeting me. Portia said, look, there are preconceived notions, okay? You know what you know about Kenya from watching her on the show. The thing is, you thought that Kenya was going to come guns a-blazing at you, and she didn't. Kenya didn't do it with Kelly, and Kenya didn't do it with Angela. You watched the show the past 15 seasons, however many Kenya's been on here. I think it's been like 14 or something like that. You watched it and you thought you were going to get that same Kenya that we have seen pop off for a time or two before, and she didn't do that. And you wanted her to because you thought that that would help solidify and make you a bigger star on The Housewives. And Kenya didn't do that. So instead, you chose to have a problem with her, and then you took it too fucking far. You took it too far, all while looking like a weirdo, right? Portia said, look, I don't care about what happened at the table. That's that. The issue is that Kenya heard you say something about a pistol and she was scared in that moment. So Brit was like, I was triggered. I was triggered. I said, yeah, you was talking about your trigger finger too, but whatever. Portia said, look, I had a heated moment at Shamia's house. And when we got to the elevator, if I would have mentioned, damn, I wish I had my pistol on me, y'all would have assumed it was for who? And Britt just looked at her and was like, okay, because let's be real. And I've seen a lot of people saying that Kenya was not threatened. Let's be real, y'all. We have all been somewhere, right? A restaurant, a bar, a club, hell, a house party, the mall. If I'm anywhere, the post office, and I hear somebody say, man, I wish I had my pistol on me right now. Let me go in the car and get my shit. We all know what that means. That's a threat. That's a threat. And you know what doesn't have a name? A bullet. So even if Brett would have just took out her pistol and started shooting in the air, that bullet is going to come down somewhere. Yes, Kenya had a right to feel a way about that. A threat does not have to be specifically, Kenya, I am going to blank you. That doesn't have to be a threat. A threat is if we're arguing and I'm saying you gonna learn today, I got pistols and whips, that's a threat. That's a threat. Like, I don't get this. So Britt is in her confessional saying that, I wasn't gonna hurt Kenya. I wasn't gonna hurt her, but I do regret the whole thing. I think in that moment, Britt was regretting it because she probably thought, damn, I'm gonna get fired. So we pan over to Angela. She's at home and she's trying to get dressed. So she's trying to convince Charles to go to the hair spa with her. And I'm like, why? Why you want him to go with you? And she would say, I just want you to come and support me. I think you wanted him to go because you wanted to kind of throw him in Portia's face. So she then tells him, Portia said she got some tea on you. Charles was like, well, she better stay in her lane. She don't know me. Handle that. I said, oh God. Okay. So Angela would say, I did handle it. Angela, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. You ain't really saying that. You called her a stupid bitch in your confessional, but that was under your breath and you didn't even want to repeat it. Let me find out Angela does a lot of bumping of the gums, right? So Angela's then telling Charles that she still has not talked to her daughter. And he was like, so I haven't talked to my sister. But see, I've been telling y'all that I think Charles is an asshole. And y'all are like, that's just how he is, as if it's cute. That nigga's an asshole. So he then asks her, why you keep bringing up all these issues to me? He said, I'm trying to fry this chicken. Then he was like, go wash your hands after she did it. And now y'all know that clip has resurfaced of Wendy Williams basically saying that Charles had cheated on Angela back in the day. This is why we need Wendy sitting on her purple couch so she can bring her own receipts forward. So we get to Kenya's event. It was good to see Miss Lawrence. We all love Miss Lawrence, okay? So Kelly picks up Britt. And Britt has white flowers with her because she wants to signify pure intentions, okay? Meanwhile, Kenya is having a hair show with some of the models, very reminiscent of how the old hair shows used to be in Atlanta. I used to love watching those videos on YouTube. So Kenya is doing that and everybody's loving it. It's a good time. The ladies that are there, the housewives, are holding up cards and judging. It's cute. Now, I don't know what this got to do with the hair spa, but it was cute, right? So Drew comes in late as always, and she has Allison in tow with her. I said, oh. Okay, so you about to approach Portia one more time, and that's why you got Allison with you. So Portia, Cynthia, and Shamia are talking, and Shamia is saying that she made up with Angela. Awesome sauce, right? Portia said that her and Drew did not make up, and she is still very much hot. You're going to have to be hot, Portia, because Drew is filming with Dennis, the same thing you didn't want to have happen. So Portia explains to Cynthia what happened with Kenya and Brit the other night. And she said Brit mentioned having a pistol. Now, this is interesting because we have seen Cynthia do interviews where she has said in real time, as in like the past week, where she has said that she has not spoken to Kenya since that night, but she does not think what Brit did was all that bad, right? Cynthia got dog walked all up and through social media. She then came back and said, well, I hadn't heard exactly what happened. I didn't know. Well, Cynthia, now we see that that was a lie because Portia just told you what happened right then and in that moment. So you did know what happened. On top of that, you ain't watched the show last week, Cynthia? You didn't see it? What do you mean? You didn't bother to get Kenya's side of the story, and Kenya's supposed to be your friend? That's interesting. Very, very interesting. Meanwhile, over in the car, we see Brit is explaining how her aunt has passed away, and it was sudden, and she just has a lot of family things that are going on right now. And I'm like, rest in peace to your aunt. Right? We never want to hear about anybody losing a family member, but I feel like you threw that in as an excuse for your behavior. That is not an excuse. It's not an excuse. You could have talked about this at any moment, but you chose to talk about this now as an excuse. So now Brent is in the car telling Kelly that hopefully her and Kenya can be friends after this. I said, y'all can be friends because I've been threatening this woman, right? I've been a whole weirdo, but I think if I give her these flowers, that we can be friends. Like, what's happening, Brit? What part of? Let me tell you this: you threaten me with a whip or a pistol, is fuck you forever. We will never be friends. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You hope y'all can be friends. Oh God, what a funny. So we then find out that Angela is the only one that reached out to Kenya after the event, which I thought was kind of shitty. Did I really expect Portia to? Not really, but I'm curious that Drew didn't, that Shamia didn't. I'm taken aback by it, to be honest, but okay. Portia said that, look, Kenya seems very offended. And sometimes when you are very offended, you retaliate back. And oh, she will. So Britt and Kelly finally arrive. We see Kenya walk in the back. Because Kenya saw their asses walk in. Kenya goes in the back and she takes a shot of Patron. I said, oh. All right, we getting ready to get activated. So the ladies are telling Britt that, you would have known if you were uninvited or if Kenya didn't want me to. Trust me, you would have known if Kenya didn't want you here. And they were like, yeah, she don't mind throwing people out of her shit. You cool. So then we see Drew run up on Portia. She wants to talk. Portia doesn't want to. Drew said, look, we are both going through a divorce. And in my divorce, my nigga's crazy. So why would I even want to mess with somebody else? So you can have Dennis's hot dog. I said, Drew, this... I laughed, but I was with Portia, okay? Don't talk to me in this sing-song voice because it's coming off very condescending. Right? So Portia said, use your common sense. This could have been a simple phone call. Now, Portia, she was calling you. She has been calling you. You didn't want to answer. Howsoever, I still stand very firm that Drew should have just sent a text message or an email outlining everything that she wanted to talk to Portia about. She should have, right? So Drew said, look, Portia, we didn't have a conversation. And Portia is very steadfast on saying, no, we didn't. We did not have a conversation. We didn't talk about this. So Drew said, look, I talked to you after my birthday party. So Portia walks away because she don't have time with this. She's upset. She don't want to cause a scene at Kenya's event. Listen, Kenya caused the scene at her own event, okay? So Britt walks in with her flowers and she presents them to Kenya, and Kenya walks right past her ass and ignores her. So now Britt gets all indignant and embarrassed. Well, I'm just gonna leave. If she wants to wear my body, I'm just gonna leave. Leave. Because let's be real, girl, why did you even come? Truth be told, why would you come, Brit? Like, I feel like if you're going to apologize to Kenya, you should have had a one-on-one conversation with her. And I am a firm believer that the apologies should be just as loud as the disrespect, but you should have had a one-to-one conversation with Kenya first and apologize to Kenya then, and then at the next group event with all the ladies, then you run that apology back and you do it again. So Kenya starts to make a speech about how she has made this salon and, for generational wealth for Brooklyn. Well, technically, this is Brooklyn's because you use Brooklyn's college fund for this. So this is Brooklyn shit. Nonetheless. So Brit leaves and Brit is outside saying, look, I wanted to apologize. And if she wants to ignore me, that's fine. It's going to have to be fine because you can't make nobody talk to you. You can't make nobody talk to you. So Kenya said that people are trying to bring her down for a reason. And she said it's the same person that brought the fake flowers and tried to give these to me. So you know what? Take these flowers, give them to a homeless person outside to do what with Kenya? What is the homeless person going to do with the flowers? Nonetheless, Kelly is like, wait, let me grab the card. So Kelly runs and grabs the card out, and Kenya was like, I don't want that card. Keep the card and stay out of it. Kelly, okay? So Kenya goes on her speech and said, look, I'm that bitch. I've been that bitch, and I'm still that bitch. I said, okay. Cool. So Kenya said, bitches like her, I pay dust. I said, but this is not indicative of paying somebody dust. But I'm gonna let you go because you flowing in the moment. But this is literally the opposite of paying somebody dust. Just in case anybody was wondering. Kenya then goes on to mention that lady threatened her with the gun. Said that Brit said that she didn't know who I was. Brit said I didn't know who she was. So, I said, let me show you who she is. And she pulls up some pictures. And I guess they're pictures of Brit before she had plastic surgery, or were they mug shots? I don't know. But everybody is like, oh shit, here we go. So Kelly is like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. So Kenya said, yeah, she used to be a video hoe. And we know that because Brit has been very proud of the fact that she was a video girl back in her teenage years. Remember, she's bragged about that at least twice. So Kelly walks out. Kelly goes outside and tells Brit, girl, we about to go. We about to get out of here. Kelly, you probably should have stayed so you can tell your friend everything that happened, but whatever, you'll see it. So Kenya continues and says that she has more pictures. So she pulls up some pictures, which we have heard are of Brit giving fellatio. So all the ladies are okay, and everybody is like, Kenya, this is too much. This is too far. No. So Portia walks out first, and then the remaining ladies kind of follow after her. So Cynthia walks over and tells Kenya, look, I hate that you did this. You are bigger than this. I love you. I'll talk to you later. Cynthia clearly never talked to her later because this past week, Cynthia said that she has not spoken to Kenya since. So we see that Akila and Manietta are there. They stay inside with Kenya, with Drew. And I'm like, so this is when Drew, okay. But they stay inside with Kenya, and we don't see any more of what transpires inside. But outside, Portia is like, this is too much. Y'all can take my mic off. Y'all can take the camera off from me. I don't want to film anymore. We can act like I wasn't even here. And that's how the episode goes off. We then get a message where we find out that, or as we already know, production has decided to not continue filming with Kenya after this moment. And it would have been nice if we would have saw that after Brit threatened Kenya last week. Again, I'm not saying that what Kenya did is right whatsoever, but two wrongs don't make a right. And if Kenya was terminated and they ceased filming with her because of this, then Brit threatening her, threatening anybody, threatening with a weapon in general should have yielded the same result last week. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Y'all gonna keep watching the show? I know a lot of people said they're not watching anymore after this episode because of they don't feel that it's right, what is happening with Kenya. So let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Subscribe to the channel, thumbs up the video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.